economic policy that essentially, I would suggest one is pro-growth. That's business like it, from inside and outside. Second, it has to be pro-job, because usually there's so much unemployed in the authority system. Third, it has to be pro-poor, still being poor. So you have to receive your economic policy and objective into these three pro-growth, pro-jobs, and pro-poor. And then you have to reform the legal and social system. There are also a question that all of us have problem, which is oligarchy. During the authoritarian, the family of the president and the crony has strong hold on the economy, politics, and etc. We have to break this oligarchy in order to transform them into a more democratic system. And the way to do it, again, really depends on the enforcement of the legal system. Because this oligarchy usually cannot work in a very competitive legal framework. They used to rely their hold on power on connection, on cronyism. They cannot stand a very competitive legal system. Then you have to set an institution of anti-corruption. Because the fact is, in the past, there's so much corruption. Usually dictators have houses in Swiss, in the US, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars under their control. So you need to set up an anti-corruption. You can start from the mild version, which is just a wealth investigation unit, in which all officials have to report what are their wealth, how much is their asset, and it has to be verified as a benchmark. And after a few years being an official, whether the benchmark increased out of proportion, or whether it is increased wrong. So this soft version of anti-corruption drive is very useful, because then you publish this. The official wealth is published. Official X 1 million, and they start being official. What happened after 5 years? If it is 5 times, then the question can be started, and the media love this. The media love this, and the people would also like the people with credibility are holding government office, not for official. The most stronger version is to set up a special anti-corruption court. Because usually the existing court system are unable to process this kind of corruption. They are not active, they don't understand the financial dimension. So you can set up court cases for special corruption. And if you do this, the government that all the people provide good food, have a strong anti-corruption drive, I assure you, you're going to have a greater legitimacy. The third is policy. This is very important. During authoritarian system, the dictator usually relies on the military for power, for control. But then when you turn into democracy, the power usually shifted from the military to the police. And the police become very, very powerful. And their potential for abuse. That need training for reform. But also, we need to set up a police commission to put a standard on police behavior and etc. Usually, from the past experience, the police are less disciplined than the military. The potential abuse is higher. In fact, the famous, during the Russian history, the famous abuses of human rights is the police general. So you need, and the police is also, because they become powerful, they are also likely to be influenced in smuggling, in drug, and etc. So it is important to set up an independent police commission filled in with some civilian with integrity and training and reform and punishment of the police. And the last you need to promote meritocracy. That's the antithesis of cronyism. And this cronyism is still taking place after the transition. People will quickly disappoint it. They say, what are the difference? The past, the authoritarian is full of cronyism. No, you said we are a democracy. But look at the official behavior. They are also full of cronyism. It's going to torpedo the reform. It's going to torpedo the revolution. And it's going to reduce the legitimacy of the people. Now, I want to briefly touch a bit in the state and public partnership. You need both the private sector, no doubt. But there are two schools of thinking here, neoliberal thinking, minimum state, do nothing, wait to the market. But don't forget, during the authoritarian system, they are already oligarchy in charge. They are powerful economically and politically. Once you leave it to the market, who are going to be in charge of the new economy? It is the oligarchy. They are now working with the foreign corporation and etc. And you strengthen oligarchy if you are not aware of this process. The other, again, what I call, and no other large countries has been able to achieve growth, reduce poverty and inequality by following the neoliberal path of development. It's a success story only true for small country, transshipment country like Hong Kong. Large country like Japan, China, Brazil, India, Korea, and Singapore have followed, an effective role of state rather than a totally neoliberal concept. In that, the proactive role of the state promotes structural transformation by policy. I'll give you an example. Right after the crisis, Indonesia had a larger crisis in 1998. The total airline passenger growth is 16%. At that time, you only have two state airlines, Mati Nusantara and Garuda. All of them insist, do nothing, doesn't lower the price. In fact, on top of the fact that the passenger growth was 16%. I took the initiative, we opened up the airline industry to private competition, and the result, the cost per passenger per kilometer dropped by 15%. And secondly, just within 1.5 years, the passenger returned to the pre-crisis level. Currently, the total airline passenger in Indonesia is 5 times the peak of the pre-crisis level. If you come to Indonesia, you will be surprised. The airport is full everywhere. It's like the bus station. There's so many airlines, blah, blah. So you can change the economy by policy. Doesn't always necessarily with resources. And there are other examples in which we change the state of the economy by policy, not by only resources. I give you another example. I was the chairman of the largest cement industry after minister in Indonesia. We produce about 14 million tons of cement all over the country. And as usual in other developing countries, the state enterprise is involved. There are about 180 state enterprises in Indonesia. They are inefficient, they are corrupt, they doesn't know how to run the state. And I do believe in authoritarian countries that also have. My prognosis is simple. That the cost of input to state enterprise is about 30% higher than the competitive price. Because that's for reasons. That's corruption. I just asked the director to put a plan with 30% cost reduction in production cost. And they said, corruption, you cannot do that. Inflation is 7%. I said, no, don't give me a lecture on inflation. I want to visit the country. As simple as that, most of the state enterprise input is cronyism, is corruption. Yeah. tell everybody to reduce their cost to you, if not find another supplier. I'm sure they have. So you are able to reduce the cost by about 30%, and at the same time, increase day of working. Usually, state enterprise, only a small. In Indonesia, you work only 250 days as manufacturing. The other part of the world is 330. I push them in 1 year, you have to be 300. The result, the profit is only $40 million. Within 1 year, increased by $120 million. So there's so many things like this that you can push for change in state enterprise, because that's a key major sector in the economy, in the authorities. Then, of course, you have to bring in private sector. And I think we all know how to do that, blah, blah, blah. But one thing I want to underline is the importance of social spending. Most of this state type of development, East Asian model, China, Japan, Korea, Singapore to some degree, invest heavily in social spending, education, health, housing. Why? Because you might have a high growth economy, but the welfare of the people is flat or declining. But there are cases in which you can have a high growth economy, but also an increased welfare for the average man in the street. And you can only do that if you invest aggressively in education, health, and housing. Thank you very much.